My name is Timi Omole. I work for Pigeon Integrated Services. Yes, Pigeon Integrated Services is a consulting firm that is about identifying problems and aggregating solutions around them and bring them to the world. Yes, part of what we do includes having to assess the situation of vaccine supply chain across Africa and aggregate solutions around how to optimize it. Building on the background that we acknowledge that both vaccine and supply chain are central to the development of Africa and the eventual economic emancipation for the future of Africa, I presented today on how we can begin to imagine how to optimize vaccine supply chain. When we talk about optimizing vaccine supply chain, we look at it from the perspective of the waste that exists within the system and what we can do to reduce the waste and optimize uptake of vaccines on the other side. So it's on the premise that we have wastage within the system, yet there are a couple of persons who don't have access to the same commodity that we are wasting. So what can we do in between to close the gap between the waste and the non-access that we have within the system? And that's what we'll see. How can we close the gap? So there are a couple of things that we can do to close the gap, but I've mentioned three major things today. Number one thing that I think we need to do as a country, as a continent, is that we need to engage in diplomatic policies that will aggregate our effort around how we can produce from Africa, on the continent of Africa, instead of importing from outside the continent of Africa. And that does not come easy. It comes by sitting on the same table with other countries, negotiating our ways into production here. When we want to produce here, it will include what we may term as strategic investment. Everybody wants to make money from every business, so we need to create a business case for why vaccines should be produced in Africa. And one of the very obvious case is that this is where the customer for those vaccines are. So why do you need to produce them far away and bring them to the customer? When you produce them close to the customer, you maximize your profit and maximize your profit by reducing your costs. So that's what one major case. Then the other two I mentioned is the fact that the workforce running the supply chain needs to be built. If you reduce the distance and you bring the vaccine production to Nigeria or to Africa, you will need a solid workforce to run the supply chain from the production to where it is used. And that is the case I made. The third one is the use of technology. There are a lot of things that are bedeviling the vaccine supply chain. One of them is the temperature of our environment. The other thing is around the geography. We have the topography of Africa, we have mountainous areas, we have riverine areas. All of these geographical factors makes it difficult for us to access those places. But with the use of technology, we can circumvent some of these problems and make vaccines accessible to the people that need them. So basically, reduce the distance between the production to where it is used, utilize technology to circumvent the limitations, and then build the people that will run the supply chain.